Hi there and welcome along to the latest episode of the England Golf Podcast. My name's Ian McFarlane, thanks for joining me as we take a trip around the club and amateur scene in England. Forget bogeys, pars and birdies, we're all about eagles on this edition of the pod. Well, one eagle in particular. We hear from Crystal Palace and England goalkeeper Jack Butland, who tells us about his love affair with golf. Now Jack's just joined England Golf's iGolf scheme. Can he get down to scratch during the football close season? Well, that's down to the man himself. We'll hear from Jack later. Also coming up, we speak to Sam Barker-Sabido, a mentor for the latest group of England Golf and Golf Foundation young ambassadors. Sam tells us why hearing what juniors have to say about the game is important for the sport's future. Pat Manning from Leamington County Golf Club tells us about a marathon charity golf challenge that he undertook with his mate Bill Ryan. Now you could get a blister just listening to the tale of his 160-mile long adventure, but it may just inspire your own club's charity efforts. And we also round up the news and congratulate the winners from this week's England Golf Awards, sponsored by our friends at Adidas Golf. Ben Beagley, the delighted general manager from Farnham Golf Club, our tournament venue of the year, gives us his winner's speech. But first, let's mix football with fairways. Jack Butland became the youngest keeper ever to be capped by England when he debuted against Italy in 2012 at the tender age of 19. Football remains his priority, but thanks to his late granddad, he also loves his golf. There's a group of the Palace lads who play regularly, and boss Patrick Vieira may also join in the fun soon. If he does, just don't expect Jack to roll over to the boss. Recently, I caught up with the 29-year-old and found out why England Golf's iGolf platform, that's designed for non-members of golf clubs, has helped fuel Jack's lifelong passion for the game. Jack Butland, England goalkeeper, Premier League player and a mad keen golfer. Welcome to the podcast, Jack.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be on.
No problem. Now, a lot of people know about your sporting pedigree from a football point of view. 9 caps for England, part of a Crystal Palace side going very well at the moment. But tell us about where golf fits into your sporting life.
It has quite a big part in my life, actually. Been a big golf fan for a long time. First kind of got into it, my granddad, who's sadly not with us anymore, took me years back when I was probably only 9 years old, something like that. It was something I found very difficult to begin with and almost didn't immediately fall in love with it. I'm a very competitive person and like to be good at things almost immediately. So the love affair, I suppose, didn't really start then, even though that was my first taste of golf. Just being a perfectionist, really. So it took on there, and I guess it was something that was always in the back of my mind as being something I really want to conquer. But I guess it wasn't until my sort of teenage years, mid-teenage years, when started to really get into it. Had some friends that were into golf as well, and we would go and play in the summers and things like that. Not so much during the winter at that point, unlike now when I'll play in absolutely any weather whatsoever. And then, started really taking hold of me then, sort of mid-teenage years. You know, football was kind of going well for me as well. And I'd always been, like I said, competitive and loved my sport in general. But golf was one that was easy to do alongside football. It wasn't too taxing on me, so I wasn't getting told off by coaches at my academy, Birmingham, at the time for kind of being distracted. So it was a great way for me to kind of have a laugh with my friends and still get some competitiveness from it as well, which is something I've always enjoyed.
Were you one of these annoying kids at school, Jack, that you were just good at all sports and golf was just a natural one for you? Was there ever a point where you could have chosen between golf and football? Were you that good at an early age?
No, not certainly not at all. Not at that age. No, I don't like to say it, but I was one of those annoying kids at school that, yes, I loved every sport. I would watch every sport. So I guess I had an unfair advantage on everyone else in terms of just how much time and effort I really wanted to put into any sport I played. But at the time, it was between football and rugby, really. I didn't really have an opportunity to choose. Football that path just took its own life and away we went with that. So but at that age, golf was one. It was a sport that I enjoyed, and it was something that I certainly struggled with. I was desperate to try and be better. I was desperate, but at that time, I didn't have the means and at the time to go practice lessons and things like that. So it was at that time, it really was a hobby that, would turn up on a weekend every now and again with my friends to play and things like that, and hoped for the best and all the rest of it. But then sort of touching 19, 20, it then became football had by that point solely taken over as my main priority. So playing other sports, playing rugby, playing things like that was no longer something I could do. And I'd still loved golf and still enjoyed it. But it quickly became, this is a sport that I can really do alongside football. It's something where I can get away from football. I can spend time with friends that, from school, from outside of football, the football guys I see all the time. And it became a sport that I really then started to sink my teeth into a lot more. I started having lessons. I started being really curious about what golf courses were nearby, where I could go and play and how I could get better. And obviously all through that time, I'd obviously watched golf. I'd tune into the Masters. The Masters was obviously a huge one for me. Now I find myself watching almost every tournament or keeping an eye on every tournament that kind of goes on. And then, so certainly from sort of 20 up till 29 now, it's become quite a mainstay in my life. My fiance, soon to be wife, I think wishes sometimes the clubs, didn't exist or the sport didn't exist, but she knows I love it and have a great time playing it.
Obviously, you made such a bright start to your professional football career. You were capped for England very young. You were in first teams very young. Did managers and coaches at your football clubs take a dislike to the fact that people played golf or did other sports? I mean, sometimes you hear of managers who are mad keen on the game themselves and it's fine. People can do what they like in their spare time, but other people don't want footballers playing golf because, they think it impinges on their chosen career. How was it for you?
Yeah, no, I'm aware of situations like that. Fortunately, that never really arose in any managers that I had or any clubs that I was a part of, which was nice. I think I had, Mark Hughes for a large part of my Stoke career that was manager was a big golfer himself, and him and his staff, and he would allow us to, within our schedule, or if we had pre-season trips, mid-season trips and things like that, providing that we got our work done and what was required of us from a footballing perspective, he would allow us the odd afternoon here and there to go and play together with your teammates. And that was quite nice to have a manager that was keen on it. England managers also, when you're away for a long period of time and on camps and tournaments and things like that, they've always been conscious of players' kind of free time and making sure that they, don't get bogged down in a hotel, and given players that have got interest to go to cinema, to go and play golf, things like that. So I've been very fortunate, I think, in terms of managers that have been golf friendly, if you like. Haven't come across any yet, thankfully, that are against it. But I think as you get older as a player, you start to, I think even if managers were absolutely pro golf, they don't want to see you playing golf the day before a game, even 2 days before a game. So I think it works both ways. You've got to kind of be respectful of the fact that we've got a job to do and football comes first. So yeah, never have I allowed it to become an issue, and certainly pick and choose my times when to play wisely. That's for sure.
Yeah. Let's clear this up nice and early, Jack. Just how good are you? What's your handicap index?
2.2. 2.2. I will hold my phone up and show you at the minute. It was it got dangerously low when I first joined the app. I shot a really good round on a golf course, the Mere up north. I've played a million times, and it's actually got a quite a difficult slope rating, and I shot level par around there, which made which for a long time was causing me quite a few issues because I wasn't able to shoot that around on many other courses. So I think it's gradually working itself back, or certainly it's averaging itself out now at a point where I think's fair. So it's most courses I'm kind of getting 3 shots at the minute, which is which is something I can live with. But me being me, I'm also trying to get that down. I want to get back down there and shoot regularly lower than that. So that's the target.
You mentioned the app there, Jack, and you've joined the England iGolf scheme, which, for those people who don't understand it, it allows non-members of golf clubs to obtain and maintain an official handicap index, to chart their progress, and to carry on enjoying a kind of pay-as-you-play existence, if you like, but also to play competitively and to mark your progress. So from your point of view, you're obviously a young man with a young family and a busy life, busy work life as a professional footballer. So was that why the iGolf scheme kind of fitted with you at this time in life?
Absolutely. I think especially football as well, it gives you a kind of you kind of fly by the seat of your pants, if you like. There's transfers, you can be here, there and everywhere. So committing to a single golf club has been difficult for me over the years. It's something you don't always want to do if you're not 100% sure how regularly you're going to play. And a friend of mine introduced me to the app, to iGolf, which I'm someone that when I get the opportunity to play, I don't always want to go to the same golf course all the time. I want to go and try other places. I want to play around and go to some different areas of the country and play, where the app has come in extremely handy for me. Don't have to hand in 3 cards at a single golf club to get initial handicap, and I can update the app and play with my friends as I go on a really easy to use app, to be honest with you. It's very clear, very simple, and it gives you that competition, not just with your friends but with yourself as well, being able to track each other's progress. So it's been really helpful for me to be able to enjoy playing many different golf courses and maintain a handicap at the same time, which up until the development of iGolf, the England iGolf app and the format was very difficult to do.
It sounds as if you've got a group of mates who are also involved as well, and being the professional sportsman you are, I guess the competitive juices get flowing no matter where and when you're playing. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think I've got roughly 10 people on the app at the minute of players that I've played with, and I regularly find myself, even if I haven't played, just opening the app to see if anyone else has played and kept it quiet and to see whether they've shot a good score or a bad score. So yeah, I think it's great. I'm actually playing tomorrow with 3 teammates that have all introduced to the app, so we can have a bit of fun with that tomorrow. So we've got a little trip booked at the end of the season, of which all those 3 guys are coming on. We're going up to Loch Lomond. So there's a few guys that are a little bit. They don't seem to want to waver from their official handicap, of which they don't have one, but there's numbers that they like to stick to and things like that. So I'm hoping that between now and that trip, we can get a few rounds in and we can have a bit of a laugh over what perhaps the handicap should be come that trip. So
yeah. The whole thing about iGolf is it can do away with these bandits, which is the word that you were trying not to use there, Jack. But
I didn't use it. No, it's like the S word, isn't it? You don't want to be kind of associated with the bandit word or that dreaded S word that we don't like in golf as well. It's one of those words you don't like to mention. But yeah, it's certainly been good fun for us and tracking each other's progress as well. And it gives me a little bit of a motivation every time I kind of, drive through the gates of a golf course and get the app set up and let's see how we go today. How many shots is it going to give me and see what I can do. So it kind of not just that competition between friends as well. It gives me something that I can focus on, and I'd quite like to see it going down rather than up. I think that's the plan. But yeah, like I said, it's been brilliant for me, and it gives and add a little bit of spice to any match that we have as well.
So come on, lift the lid. Tell us who in the football world would you rate as the best golfers? We obviously see people like Harry Kane, who's got a real love of the game. There's been others in the past. Jimmy Bullard, another keen golfer. Julian Dix back in the day at West Ham, I think, was a scratch golfer. I know from personal experience, one of your old assistant managers at Stoke, Callum Davidson, excellent golfer. Callum once talked to me about trying to get on the Champions Tour in America once he turned 50. I don't know if that's going to happen, but there's a lot of guys in the football world that are really into their golf. Any other names you can throw at me from your career?
You've mentioned three very good names there that I've played with Callum, and I've played with Harry as well. So Callum was, you know, I enjoyed playing with him. Great, he was a great coach as well for us. And I just remember playing with him, and at the end of the match, at the end of the game, me and my friends sort of said, "I wonder what, Callum, what did you shoot?" And he went round in level par, and it was just amazing for us because, you know, we're sat there over the tee box thinking about leathering it as hard as we can, and this, that, and the other. And he's like, "Did you ever really see Callum in trouble?" And we just like, "No, don't think we did." He was just fairway greens. And that was just good golf. And he was able to do that all the way around. And he made the most effortless level par round you'll see. So Callum for me was, I think it sums up, without being a professional golfer, he quite certainly could be. But it just kind of makes you realise how good the pros are as well, that they've got that X factor and they're able to just go fairway green, make it look so simple while we're trying to navigate a tree or a bunker and things like that. Played with Harry 4 or 5 years ago, and Harry was very good. He was very good. And I'm aware that Jimmy Bullough as well, he's just not too far from me. He's promised me a game at Sunningdale, so I'm going to put that one out in the open. So I will hold him to that.
What is it, Jack, this kind of synergy between football and golf? Because, you know, any football dressing room that I've been aware of over the years, golf's always been part of the chat. There's always been a healthy number of people in a football changing room that are also into golf. Why is it, do you think, that there is this overlap that maybe doesn't exist with football and cricket, football and rugby as much as it seems to do with golf?
I think it's just that social aspect of it. It's the social and physical aspect of, you've got your profession that's football, that is taxing enough on your body and things like that. And when you do get your free time, how do you spend that? Yes, family comes first and all those other things, but when you do want to have, and we're used to being competitors, I'm used to being competitive, I'm wanting to win. I still want that outside of football, if you like. I still want it in whatever it is that I'm doing. And I think that's what golf certainly gives me, and I think gives a lot of other players. You're kind of addicted to this this will to win and want to compete, and spend time with each other. And for me, that's what golf does. It allows me to, I still have that competitive edge, want to be better, want to beat someone, play with someone and beat two others. And just the social experience that it is. It's a great laugh. You can laugh at each other's expense. You can applaud each other's great shots. And I think that's what's the game is that difficult, that we're all in that same boat and we're all in that position of, we're all trying to get better. We're all understanding of how difficult it can be at times and just how quickly it can turn around and remind you how difficult it is after, you know, making a birdie and kind of getting you right back straight away. I think that's what we love about it. So I think it's a great way for us to have that relationship off the pitch, without it being too taxing on us physically, that it's not going to affect our football, and also to have that competition and to have a great time and a great laugh for the 4 hours or so that you're with together with each other on the golf course. And not just from a football perspective, it allows me to spend time with friends that I've got in common from school and things like that, that, you know, it's a good excuse for us to meet up. It's a good excuse when I don't see them for a couple of weeks or a couple of months. We've always got golf in common and we can meet halfway. They can come all the way or I go that way, and just have a really enjoyable round of golf together and a bit of lunch at the end. And it's just the whole experience. I know that was quite long-winded, but for me, it's a game that I love. It's constantly got me trying to improve, like I try and do in football, and it's got that social aspect as well, which, you know, it's full of enjoyment and the social experience of spending time with your friends as well. So it's a game I love, and it's a game I'll be making sure that my kids enjoy as well. I would like to get them into it as early as they can. I don't think there's ever a bad time to start or ever a bad time to pick up your first golf club. So I've tried already with my youngest one. He did spend 20 minutes trying to hit it, and the rest of the time throwing the balls off the end of the range. But I'll let him off. He's only 2 years old, so maybe I've tried to start a little bit too early.
Yeah, yeah. You don't need to be that pushy parent, but you know,
No,
it's good that he's been at a range, because he'll soon get the bug for it, and I'm sure that'll
definitely.
continue. I've heard you talk in the past, Jack, about the stresses of football, and how the football machine can sometimes be very difficult to deal with. You can't totally switch off when you're away from a game. If you've had a good game, you're hyper. If you're going through a bad spell in your career, it's all consuming and really affects everything you do in life. Is golf in some way a release for you? Have you found it? People talk nowadays about mental health, and quite rightly so. Have you found it as a great release for you away from the stresses of your everyday job?
Absolutely. It's, people find it difficult when they hear footballers say that it's stressful or it's tough. It is. When you're at your youngest and you're playing with your friends in the park, there's no stresses. But then there becomes a point where it's your profession, it's your career, it's your livelihood. And no matter what sport you're playing, what job you're in, no matter how much you love it, at times it brings stresses. You want to play when you're not, injuries, poor form, all those kind of things exist in football like they do in other jobs. So it's important that you have those releases, whether it be with your family, whether it be swimming, all the rest of it. For me, that is golf. I love spending time with my family, and I love having that competitive edge. And I love having that release with my friends on the golf course. That, whether you're 4 hours out walking, you're in the fresh air, you're out and about, able to clear your mind, and it gives you, touched on before, that social interaction. You can have a laugh, you can laugh at each other's expense, you can all the rest of it that you get with playing that sport with friends in a relaxed environment, and that for me is something that I've turned to when I've had stresses myself, and I love going to it when I'm in a great mood as well. I get excited. I get seriously excited for rounds of golf with friends and where we're going to play next. So for me, it certainly does give me that release alongside my family, and I'm sure it does. In fact, I know it does for a lot of other people as well. It can be it's something that you can stick in the diary a few weeks away and have something really, really positive to look forward to. And just remembering that it's, the game is great, it's difficult, it's rewarding, and it's great fun. And for me, that's what I use it for. And it's, sport that I love.
You mentioned earlier, Jack, your handicap's 2.2. 2.2.
Exactly.
I was just checking that you were keeping consistent there with your handicap index.
2.2.
So 2.2. Yeah. Can you get down to scratch to 1? I mean, what's your ambitions? You're a competitor. That's the nature of the beast, being a professional footballer. So what's the best you can be?
It's that balance, isn't it, between time. When you get the time, do you go and play? Do you get the time and then go and get those lessons that you need? Or it's that balance when you're playing football, when you're in season, of getting that balance right, of just how much you can put into it when football's got to come first. It's how much you do that. So for me, I believe I can. For me, I do have lessons and things like that. For me, it's just the driver. If the driver, my short game is great. I love my irons. It's the driver. It's my most lethal weapon, but also the one that turns around and bites me the most. So,
what's the destructive shot, Jack? What's the one that kills you? Slice, hook? What's your problem?
No, it's not a slice. It's like a. Well, at the minute, this is the thing. At the minute,
this week,
it's a bit of a slingy draw, which is not what I'm going for. I've got quite a short swing, despite being a flexible guy. When it comes to rotation, I'm short. I'm, dare to say it, John Rahm-esque in terms of I don't have that long, rangy backswing like some. Tony Finau has it as well, that short, punchy swing. So there's less to go wrong, but I get carried away and I do try and hit that thing a little bit too hard. So I'm just working on just trying to hit a nice high fade is what I'm trying to hit. And occasionally I get a bit excited and it becomes a bit quick and there comes that low one. So it's a work in progress, but like I said, I'm getting lessons. Of course, I'd like to have more, but I don't have the time to have more. So yeah, it's one of those. It's a little bit hit and miss. I think that's the only thing stopping me really from getting down much lower, because it can be like I said, it can make the course a hell of a lot shorter. But we all know if you're not in the short stuff, then it's makes shooting those low scores tricky.
The good thing is, Jack, there isn't a man or woman who's ever walked this earth who has perfected the game of golf. So you've got plenty of time to work on any frailties.
Absolutely.
You mentioned you're off to play golf with some teammates. You've managed to rope them in. Are they new starters? Are they people who are coming back to the game? I mean, what's the background there?
No, they're all guys that love their golf as well, that have played for a long time. That have the bug, they love it. I think certainly now the weather's getting better as well. It's brought a couple of them out of the woodwork that perhaps weren't around 2-3 months ago, which seems to happen with many golfers. But guys that love the game, again, very competitive. We're great friends at football, but when it comes to golf as well, there's an extra little bit of we're not playing with each other anymore. Now it's against each other. So there's that competition there, which I'm really excited for. But yeah, guys that have played the game for a long time, and like I said, have all recently joined England iGolf and are now starting to get a few home truths about what the handicap actually should be. So I'm quite pleased with what's going on at the minute.
Good. Have you managed to get the gaffer interested in this? I mean, is Patrick Vieira is he a Victor Dubuisson or a Jean van der Velde? I mean, what category would you put him in?
I'm not sure. He does ask us. There's been a couple of times where he's kind of insinuated that he'd play, and we've accounted for it. And he did ask us one time whether we were playing one international break, and a couple of us said, yes, yeah, we are. We had a 4-ball at that time, so we didn't tell him that. But he said, I'll let you know Monday. We were planning on playing on the Tuesday. He said, well, I'll let you know on Monday. So we're having a bit of a panic now, thinking, well, there's 4 of us, and the manager's going to let us know on Monday if he wants to play on Tuesday. Someone's going to have to go, because we can't tell the manager, I'm sorry that you can't play. And he messaged saying that he wasn't available to play. So whether he was just testing us, whether he does like golf, or whether he just doesn't have the time, I'm not sure. I'm yet to know where the gaffer's sort of golfing abilities lie. So maybe we'll find out on pre-season. Maybe pre-season we'll get the chance of a laid back kind of round of golf, and we'll see whether he gets involved. But for right now, I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure where he's at in his golfing abilities.
It's a dilemma, isn't it, when you're playing with a boss? I mean, do you let him win, or does he look at you and think, "Why are you doing that?" Or do you beat him to a pulp and just hope he takes it in the right spirit?
Oh no, you beat him, because if he's got the opportunity to beat you, he's going to. So you don't have the career that he's had without being a competitive and ruthless individual that always wants to win. So. For a fact he'd be trying to beat us if that was the case. By hook or by crook, he'd get it done. So I think we'd have to respectfully compete properly and not let him win. I'm not very good at letting people win.
Jack, as we speak, we're in Masters Week. It's the competition that gets everybody going for the start of the golf season, doesn't it? But if you had to field a dream 4-ball at somewhere like Augusta, who would be part of your dream 4-ball? Would you go for footballers, golfers, somebody from history, a few mates? How would you like to peg it up?
Just off the top of my head right now, to play with me, or to play with me.
Part of your 4-ball, yeah.
I'd pick 2 golfers and a basketball player. I think you can probably guess which one, but I would have Tiger. I would have I'd Rory, which is a player that I'm desperate. A lot of my friends are laughing at my expense because I keep backing him. I keep backing him because I desperately want him to win, like so many do. So I'd have Tiger for obvious reasons. Rory because he's an exceptional golfer. Would like to meet him. As well, and would love him to win the Masters. But and then Michael Jordan, I think, would just be someone that I respect greatly from basketball and just his standing in sport in general and his obvious love for golf. I would quite enjoy to pick his brains and hear a few stories from those three guys. So yeah, I think that's a pretty good four ball, I think. And I think they'd all outdrive me as well.
If you need a caddy for that 4-ball, Jack, I'm available, because it sounds like a lot of fun.
There could be quite a large queue for caddies for that one, certainly.
Jack, listen, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thanks for talking about your love of the game, which is clear. It shines through in the way you talk about it. Good luck with the England iGolf subscription. I know you're really into it, and good that the Palace boys are behind it as well. And I'm sure you'll take the money on more than one occasion this year.
Let's hope so.
And remember, if, like Jack, you think that iGolf fits in with your lifestyle, you want to get an official WHS handicap index, you can find out more by visiting www.englandigolf.co.uk. And who knows, you could be teeing it up with Jack at a course near you soon. 2.2, he says he plays off. We'll check the app. Check the app and make sure that's the case.
It's there. Don't worry about that.
Cheers, Jack.
Cheers, Ian. Thank you very much.
Now, earlier this year, a new cohort of young ambassadors were welcomed onto the scene by England Golf and the Golf Foundation. Aged between 14 and 22, the group of young men and women are united by their love of the game and a drive to make sure young people's voices are heard. Now, that can be with us here at England Golf, or perhaps at their own golf clubs, where many are now on committees making sure that the opinions of the youngest members are both aired and respected. The group also looks after an award called the Hero's Handshake, which aims to recognise those young golfers who champion the game in all manner of ways and promote a positive image of the sport. A few years ago, Sam Barker-Sabido was one of the group's new recruits. Now, Sam's a mentor for those starting out with the ambassadors and lends his experience to the group. Sam's a good golfer himself. A lefty, he's a bit of a Bubba Watson, doesn't see a straight shot in the golf course, but he's a straight talker off the course, and having finished college is now working with James Crampton and his championship team here at England Golf as a tournament manager. Sam's still dedicated to the young ambassadors though, and talked me through his long-standing involvement as well as the ongoing efforts of the 2022 team. Sam, thanks for joining us in the latest edition of the podcast. Now, you are a young ambassador's mentor. You were a young ambassador in the past. For those who don't know anything about the project, can you just enlighten us a little bit?
Thanks, Ian. It's a pleasure to join you on the podcast. As you say, I've been a young ambassador since January 2020, and I was a young ambassador for 2 years, and now I've become a mentor for the newer young ambassadors to help guide them through the programme. The National Young Golf Ambassadors are essentially there to project the voice of juniors within golf. Now, obviously, if you go to a golf club, a lot of the people making the decisions, or all the people that are making the decisions, either on the board or the committee, and obviously at the higher level within counties and at England Golf, a lot of those people are older people, adults, or possibly even seniors at golf clubs. So the young ambassadors are there to project the voice of junior golf, which isn't represented at board level at a lot of golf clubs. Now, we do that through several different ways on the Young Ambassador programme. So I know throughout my two years as a Young Ambassador, I led the print media team on writing articles for the Midlands Golfer magazine. And each one of those articles made recommendations to clubs on how to increase junior engagement in the game. And those articles went out to all the golf clubs in the Midlands. So that was us projecting our voice. I know that they're now, the Young Ambassadors are now writing articles for the Be Sporty magazine as well, which I believe goes out to schools. So that's the print media side of things. We also do a similar thing through our social media channels of Twitter and Instagram, where the handle name is Golf Ambassadors on both of those. So if you want to give them a follow on Instagram or Twitter. And then the other thing that we've been doing, particularly during the back end of COVID when things were still on Microsoft Teams, is some of the young ambassadors have been engaging within webinars for golf clubs. So to provide advice to them, actually a bit more of a face-to-face thing rather than via social media or via print media. and just giving advice on things like volunteering and the way clubs can be run to help juniors more effectively, essentially. And then the other project that we run is the Heroes Handshake Award, which is a project where golf clubs or people within golf clubs can nominate a junior to go forward for the award. And it's an award which celebrates the achievements of junior golfers, but not necessarily the biggest performance-related achievements like winning the Carris Trophy or anything like that. It can be smaller achievements that are just as important, such as somebody who might have done a lot of volunteering at a golf club, organised a competition, broken 90 for the first time at their club, which of course to that junior is as important as winning the Carris Trophy might be to an England player. So yeah, the Heroes Handshake is the other project that the young ambassadors are working on at the moment.
You're now in the older category, Sam. You're now 23, so you're now a mentor. You're an experienced man now. The other people who are involved in this year's cohort are aged between 14 and 22. From your experience, did you gain a lot from just being part of that young ambassadors group in terms of understanding of golf, understanding of the golf industry, just general experience and life skills that you learned?
Yeah, I gained a lot because, as you say, the young ambassadors are aged between 14 and 22. And when I was part of the programme, it was actually 13 or it might be even less, about 13 and 24, 25. So that's quite a big age group and age difference.
Yeah.
And you actually learn a lot from being with different people of different ages within the programme. So obviously being one of the older ones, it was interesting to hear the views of the younger golfers and to see what they're doing within their clubs, volunteering, and see what they're doing from a playing perspective as well. And then obviously working with the other ambassadors who are the same sort of age as me as leaders on their particular projects. As I said, I was leader on the Midlands Golfer magazine project. But yeah, it was interesting to hear the stories from different age categories, and the gender split is pretty even as well. So interesting to hear the differences in the views between like the boys and the girls and what their priorities are within golf. As we know, golf is more male dominated. So it was interesting to see girls' views on how they think more girls should get involved in the game. And yeah, it was good to have that diversity within the programme. I think that's what I learnt the most from.
It's quite interesting because do you find that golf clubs that either you're a member of or golf clubs you've visited are more intent now on listening to the junior point of view? It's maybe something they didn't think of before, that the juniors at their club should have this voice, and they're more willing to receive it rather than perhaps in the past, as you said earlier, just have a club run purely from an adult perspective.
Yeah, I think a lot of clubs are coming towards that a lot more now, and it's not just juniors either. It's those that are just above, like my sort of age, 20, 23, age between like 18 and say 25. If you look at a lot of golf clubs' membership prices, they have either a student price or age category related prices, and that shows that they're listening to the views of those that age category of golfer. But there's obviously always room for improvement on that, and we want more and more clubs to get on board with it. What you see a lot of still is golfers dropping out of the game after the age of 18. So I think there's a lot of clubs that can look into why that's happening at their club and maybe ask juniors, send out a survey possibly to the older juniors who are aged between say 16 and 18, what would make you stay? Because we know that a lot of people are leaving at the age of 18. What would actually make you stay at this club? Do you think are you planning on staying? And if not, why not? What can we do to make you want to carry on playing at this golf club? So I think there's a lot that can be done around that transition from junior to adult, but I also think we are heading in the right direction, particularly with membership prices and things like that. And I think the young ambassadors can help that, because that sort of view that I've just projected and many of the other young ambassadors project can hopefully influence club officials.
One of the topics you touched on earlier, Sam, was the Heroes Handshake, which has been going for a couple of years now, and it's just started up again for 2022. Again, you mentioned briefly what that was about. It's to reward young people who champion the game. It's not people who lift trophies necessarily. It's about people who do things in the background, who maybe help develop a junior section or project the club on social media, a whole range of things. Do you think it's important to recognise juniors in this way and just give them that little pat on the back, if you like, that little piece of encouragement to keep going? Because it can be difficult if you feel you're putting your heart and soul into something and not getting recognition for it.
Well, there's around 45,000 junior golfers in the country, and there's probably, of those 45,000, about 20, roughly, I don't know exactly how many, 20 that are going to make a lot of money out of the game in the future. So for the rest of them, we want to try and keep them involved in the game, and giving them a reward that's not that for something other than just performance is something that might make them want to continue playing. So for something like volunteering, that getting a reward for their volunteering and showing that it's been recognised might make them want to keep playing and keep volunteering, which is obviously going to have a really positive effect on golf in the future. So I think it is really important from that point of view, because you've got a lot of junior golfers in the country, and if they keep getting recognised, they're more likely to keep wanting to play golf. And if they're getting recognised for things like running competitions at their club voluntarily, they're more likely to continue running competitions at their club. And for me, I ran competitions at my club when I was younger, and now I'm a tournament manager at England Golf. And it's because I kept wanting to run competitions that I've ended up in this position, essentially. I've gone on to run competitions at higher level, and then eventually now for England Golf. But somebody getting recognised for that sort of thing might make them want to continue and could help them get to a similar sort of position, if they'd like to, in the future. That's the thing. People just see golf as participation. So if you're a young golfer, you want to be the next Tommy Fleetwood or Bronte Law, but it doesn't all. You can have a career in the golf industry, which is what you're doing, as you say, tournament manager at England Golf at a young age, because of what you did as a junior and what you learned taking those baby steps at your golf club to then lead you to where you are now with the national governing body. Yeah, absolutely. There are thousands of golf jobs in the country, and I think people often don't understand that. When you're a junior, just playing golf, you think you've got to be the next Tiger Woods. Then you realise you might not be. So you go into then you drop out of the game. But I love golf so much that I didn't want to drop out. I didn't want to drop out of the game. But after the age of about 16, I kind of knew I wasn't going to make it as a golfer. But I wanted to carry on. I wanted to work in the game. I didn't want to just fall out of golf. I wanted to work in the game, and I knew there were lots of employment opportunities within golf. So I started working towards getting a career in the industry down a different path. And then you realise there are actually thousands of golf jobs, and encouraging juniors to stay in the game, even if they're not one of the best golfers in the country, is really important, because it could be setting them up for a career. It really, really could be, with the number of jobs that are out there. Sam, that's excellent. Thanks very much for your time. There's plenty to be learned from the young ambassadors and the way they go about things. So you can find out more by going to the England Golf website and checking out the Young Ambassadors page. As you mentioned earlier, you can also follow the Young Ambassadors on Twitter and Instagram. I think it's at Golf Ambassadors on Twitter and Golf Ambassadors on Instagram. And if you want any more information about the Young Ambassadors or how to nominate someone for the Heroes Handshake Award, then you can also contact the group on info@youngambassadors.org.uk. Sam, that's great. Thanks for your time. Thank you, Ian.
Now to a brilliant story that will make your heart sing. When Bill Ryan became captain at Leamington and County Golf Club, he had to give some thought to which charity would benefit from his year and how he could raise cash. Well, along with golfing buddy Pat Manning, the duo decided to play 36 holes at 35 different golf clubs in the area, starting and finishing at Leamington. The hook was that the pair would walk between venues carrying their sticks, clocking up some 160 miles on the way during a 10-day adventure. They kept score, they counted blisters, they competed when it came to injuries, but were both thrilled to raise funds for a charity called Molly Olly Wishes. Just recently I spoke with Pat to get the lowdown on the charity event and discovered how the golf community came together to make their mission possible and offer both men a new perspective on what truly matters in life. Pat, thanks very much for joining us here on the England Golf Podcast. Now, yourself and your friend Bill Ryan have been walking a little bit in the last few weeks, carrying your golf clubs, more than just a normal round at Leamington. Tell us a little bit about the challenge that you undertook.
Well, we undertook the challenge of playing 36 holes of golf at 35 different courses, playing one hole at each course, starting and finishing at Leamington and County Golf Club. We decided that we would walk between courses, and we covered in total 176 miles to play the 36 holes.
That's a lot of walking. How were the blisters at the end of that, Pat?
The blister count was 7 to Bill, 3 to me. It was a tough walk. We averaged around 18 miles a day. Some of the courses were quite close together, so we had regular breaks. But in days 6 to 10, it was tough because we went through Bromsgrove, Worcestershire, back through Evesham into Stratford, and the terrain got quite hilly. And it was tough. It was really tough, but at no time did we even think about stopping and not completing this challenge. Yeah,
that's the thing, and I know that it was for a reason, for a very good cause, something that was dear to your heart. Tell us a little bit about the charity Molly Olly Wishes, who are going to be the recipients of a lot of money because of the efforts of yourself and Bill.
Yeah, so Molly Olly Wishes is a local charity to Leamington, where we both play. It started by Rachel and Tim Ulrinshaw some 10 years ago, and it followed sadly the death of their 8-year-old daughter Molly. Molly had a rare form of kidney cancer and passed away aged 8. Ian and Rachel decided to start this charity to help people in similar circumstances to them. You know, it's the worst trauma I think you can go through is when your child receives the bad news that they have either a terminal illness or a life-threatening illness. And what they wanted to do was to be there for those people in the same way that people were there for them when they went through it. So they started this charity 10 years ago. Bill is the 2022 captain of Leamington and County Golf Club. And each year the captain selects a charity and we all try and raise some funds. So some 4 or 5 months ago, I decided to try and think of a way to help Bill raise money for his charity. And I came up with this insane idea of playing 36 holes of golf at various courses, one hole at each course. And we approached Molly Olly's to see if they would allow us to do the event for them. And we met with Rachel and she explained what she went through and what the charity is all about. And basically what they do is they grant wishes to children and families. And this can be absolutely anything. This can be from basically doing their shopping to a holiday, to supplying a laptop, to supplying counselling for parents and children and the siblings. And it's a fantastic charity. And we've seen some of the work that they've done. And when we spoke to them, it was a no-brainer that this was the charity we were going to go and do this walk for.
And despite the blisters, despite the odd injury here and there was never any doubt that you guys were going to complete it because of just how special a cause it was.
Exactly that. I mean, every time we physically it was draining. Mentally, it was difficult to keep going some days. But something special happened midway through our walk. On day 6, we visited Blackwell Golf Club, and we spoke to the club manager. We wanted to thank him for allowing us to play the one hole, and he offered us a cup of coffee. And we sat and had a chat with him. And this young lady came from behind the bar with 2 cups of coffee on a tray, and she stood in front of us, and she just gazed. We didn't put the coffee down, just gazed. And we looked at her, and I asked her if she was okay, and she looked at us, and we were wearing T-shirts with Molly Olly emblems on, and she just said, "Are you from Molly Olly's?" And we said, "We're not from Molly Olly's, but we're raising funds for them." And she explained that in 2018 she had cancer, and she was 17 years of age at that time, and she was unable to do her schoolwork while she was going through chemotherapy. And her family approached Molly's to see if they could do anything to help her. And Molly's supplied laptop and audio equipment for her to be able to carry on with her schoolwork, which really helped her, and also give her a link to the outside world, to all her friends and everything else. So to actually see somebody on our walk that Molly Olly's helped was just fantastic for us. It really enhanced the reason why we went and done this challenge, why we were raising all this money, to see somebody who had been through the experience, who the charity had helped, was just wonderful.
It's very emotional as well, Pat, I guess, when you're confronted with somebody like that who's been touched so dearly by the charity.
And that particular day, we'd just had a 4-hour walk to get to Blackwall, and it was particularly tough. And we were very tired when we got there. But you know what? That spurred us on, and we'd got 5 days or 4 days left at that point, and we just went for it then, and we were going to finish. But I have to say, every single golf club that we went to, firstly, they were great for allowing us on the course. I mean, there was 1 or 2 of them had competitions on the day that we went there, and they allowed us to walk that first hole. They gave us a great welcome. The members at some of the clubs stood and applauded us walking down the hole, and they all came up with donations as well. You know, they were fantastic. And every single club that we went to, they've given us a 4-ball voucher that we can now raffle off at our charity night following this event. We got a charity night in May, and that's all going towards the charity fundraising as well. So it's been fantastic.
Yeah, it does sound it, Pat. And that's the thing, because captains, lady captains at golf clubs up and down the country will have nominated charities and have charity events at their clubs, but you chose to do something slightly different, which then involved 35 golf clubs round about you. So you were reliant on the golf community coming together, but from the sounds of it, you didn't have any problem, and everybody was willing to pitch in and help.
They did. Brian Fraser, our club manager, he contacted all the clubs on our behalf and arranged for us to be able to play the 1 hole. We gave them all approximate timings that we would be attending, and whether we were early or late for that particular tee-off time, there was never a problem. Every single club played their part, and they're all part of this. You know, that they need to be congratulated, as well as me and Bill and the people that backed us up at the Leamington Golf Club. Every one of those clubs contributed to making this a success.
Now, the only figure that really counts, Pat, is the fact that you set off to try and raise £4,000, and the last time I checked, it was almost at £8,000, which is fantastic. And there's a Just Giving page in your name, Pat Manning, that people can go to and look to contribute if they listen to this and are touched by the story. But there's one other statistic that I want to touch on, and that was a bit of rivalry between yourself and Bill in the final score, because you did keep score, didn't you? Do you want to admit the final score, or will we just draw a veil over that?
Oh no, I'd like to admit it, submit that really, especially as I did clip Bill by 1 shot. After the 36 holes, it came down to the last hole, which was the 18th hole at Leamington, and I was 2 shots in front. It's a par 3. Bill hit his shot to within 10 foot with a birdie chance. I hit mine to about 30 foot. Bill lipped out for his birdie, and I managed to get in for a 2-putt, 2 putts, and I beat it by 1 shot. That's
not very sporting of you. He's the captain of the club. You should surely have let him just sneak it on the last.
If you know Bill, if it was the other way around, he wouldn't have let me. He would have reminded that every time we stood on that tee or on that green. He would remind me of the fact that he would have beaten me. So yeah, I'm just taking this opportunity to put it out there.
Yeah. Well, listen, Pat, it's great chatting to you. It's a fantastic achievement that yourself and Bill have done. As I say, lots of money raised for Molly Olly Wishes. They can go to your Just Giving page, which is under your name, Pat Manning, if people want to donate. And perhaps there's other golf clubs out there who are looking for something to hang a charity event on, and maybe the 36-hole challenge is something that would go down well in their area, if they can find somebody willing, like yourself and Bill, to go through 2 weeks of trudging around the locality and playing some fantastic golf courses. But it sounds like a lot of fun, as well as very rewarding in a charitable sense, Pat.
Yeah, I would recommend it to anybody. It was it is a tough thing to do. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we're both retired, myself and Bill. We did do some preparation for it, but the people that we met en route, just people stopping us in the street, looking at two idiots walking up a high street with a pair of golf clubs on their back, or in the middle of nowhere in Worcester, 10 miles from the nearest golf course, and asking us what we're doing. And more than that, they dipped their hand in their pockets and contributed to the fundraising. But we were offered, cups of coffee, drinks. One gentleman invited us into his house and for lunch. Total strangers, but everybody we met was fantastic, and I would do it again. And I would recommend anybody that wanted to go through the experience to do it. It's just fantastic.
That's splendid, Pat. Listen, thanks for joining us. A really inspirational story, and good luck with the fundraising as it continues.
Thank you very much.
Now, before we get into the England Golf Awards and talk to one of our winners, let's have a look at what's been making the news elsewhere in and around England golf in the last month. Golf's participation boom is continuing, a fact confirmed by two separate sets of statistics released by the R&A and England Golf. Golf club membership in England, boosted by England Golf's Give It a Shot campaign, now stands at just over 737,000. That's a rise of 90,000 members and almost 14% up on the previous set of figures released in February 2021. Since January 2020, golf club membership in England has grown by 100,000. Overall participation figures for Great Britain are also strong and are significantly higher than pre-pandemic levels, as confirmed by figures published by the R&A. The overall figure for adult golfers on a 9 or 18-hole course in 2021 was 4.8 million. That's up by 1.8 million from pre-pandemic levels. Girls Golf Rocks is back for 2022 and booking is now open to the public. The programme targets beginner girls aged 5 to 18, and more details on the 200 venues and how to sign up for sessions can be found at www.girlsgolfrocks.org. Young English golfers enjoyed a successful border raid for silverware at the Scottish Boys and Girls Opens recently. England Girls squad player Rachel Gourley was crowned Scottish Girls Open champion with victory at Irvine Golf Club. Woburn's Roisin Scanlon took the under-16 title at the same event. Meanwhile, over on Scotland's east coast, Huddersfield's Dylan Shaw Radford lifted the Scottish Boys Open trophy with a win at Merker Links near Aberdeen. Once again, it was double joy for England, with Essex's Charlie Croker taking the under-16 honours. Now let's stay with the winners. The 2022 England Golf Awards, sponsored by Adidas, were held online, and the unsung heroes and champions of the club and amateur scene were recognised for their dedication and achievements at a ceremony hosted by broadcaster and keen golfer Naga Manchetti. Among the winners were Hazel Grove Golf Club in Cheshire, England Golf's Club of the Year, and Kent Golf, who were named County of the Year. To read more about all winners in 11 categories, check out their stories on the England Golf website at www.englandgolf.org. Now, one of the new categories for the 2022 awards was Tournament Venue of the Year, and that honour fell to Farnham Golf Club in Surrey, hosts for the inaugural English Under-18 Championship in June 2021. Earlier, I was able to catch up with General Manager Ben Beagley to find out what it means for the Surrey club to win this award.
We really are delighted, genuinely delighted.
Yeah.
Last year, as you'll remember, it was our 125th anniversary, and it was a wonderful year to celebrate 125 years of the club. But within that year, to have our first ever England Golf Championship was very special for the club, and it being an inaugural event too, particularly first ever mixed championship for the elite juniors, and alongside that having Lottie playing, it meant a lot to have the event in the first place, and we were delighted to be nominated in the finalists and ecstatic when it came to winning the prize for number one spot last night. So all credit to everyone involved. We put together a fabulous championship committee, which I was pleased to have some influence in putting together a great bunch of members and staff, all with their own particular skill sets, who had each individual in the areas of responsibility to help plan the occasion. And we really wanted to be brilliant hosts, and quite a lot of planning went into it. We had regular Zoom meetings, because this was all when meetings were all taking place via Zoom. So we had regular Zoom chats. We had a very clear set of objectives, and everyone did a great job. Over 90 volunteers, well organised, enormous rotas and spreadsheets telling who to be, who needs to be where and when. Fabulous effort from the staff as well. The course really shone. Wonderful condition. It was great to hear the praise. The hospitality in the clubhouse, I think they did a brilliant job, and it was nice to have that recognised in the write-up. They really worked hard to look after everybody throughout the whole week, and it was a pleasure. And looking forward, having hosted our first opportunity to work with England Golf for this sort of championship, was a pleasure working with you and James and the whole championship team. We'd love to do it again at some point, and I hope that will be the case. And in terms of projecting forward, we've certainly had an enjoyable taste of hosting championships. If we can do that again, it'd be great. In terms of the profile of the club, having our official recognition as a championship venue, that means a lot, and it's a lovely milestone for the club. And it just takes us to the next level, and more of the same would be nice in the future, I'm sure.
Now, your golf club is situated in a stunning part of the country, Ben, in Surrey, and there's plenty of competition for people looking for golf courses in your area. And with great respect, Farnham probably wasn't one of the names that people would immediately associate with your neck of the woods, but the club is clearly building its image and developing. The junior section, I know, is something that you're very, very proud of. Lottie Ward, who you mentioned earlier, has come through the England golf player pathway and is now one of the best young women golfers in the world, not just Surrey or England. The junior section, if I can just focus on that a second, the money that you raised from sponsorship, which was part of your championship profile as well, was getting ploughed back into the junior section. Why do you think that was so important for the club, when presumably there are demands in various areas of the club for money to be spent? Why the juniors?
That's been an ongoing part of the Farnham culture for some years now, going back to some years to when some great junior organisers got together with a strategy and a vision to take the junior section to the next level. The club committed for all of the junior subscriptions and income to all go into a pot, and all of that to be reinvested in coaching and events and prizes and so on. So our junior section has always been a not-for-profit section of the club. So with all of the income going back in, and like I say, prizes, coaching, events, team kit, trophies, anything you can think of, and this was another bolster to our junior section. But that's very much been going for some time, that ethos. And we've got a wonderful junior academy, adult academy as well, but a wonderful junior academy that's produced some very fine junior golfers. And to see them coming through and winning local and national and now international events, it's a fabulous accolade for the club, to be recognised, not just as a fine members club, but also a great place for local people to learn golf and get into the sport.
It looks as if you were all having fun at the awards ceremony just last night. A good crowd at the golf club. I guess that shows the fact that the members were really behind the championship and really behind everything you're doing, that so many people backed your vision for the course. Because what people have to realise is that when you stage an England Golf Championship event, you're effectively handing the course over for a week, which sometimes wouldn't go down too well with the broader membership. But clearly you had a lot of buy-in from a lot of people at the club.
Absolutely. The members have been fabulous. First of all, very understanding and supportive of hosting the event. Very proud of the of hosting the event and getting the event in the first place. It's a wonderful accolade. But then you're right, they really did. The whole membership supported it from the word go, and with some organisation. And there was certainly no shortage of willing volunteers. And like we said, was it over 95 volunteers put themselves forward for various different roles, starting and meeting and greeting and marshalling and scoring and everything you could think of. But yeah, there was tremendous support. And last night, to have people come to the club and celebrate with us, and we had genuinely no idea whether we would win or wouldn't, but we still had a great crowd, had some food on, the bar open, we had the team, so a good group of the greenkeepers come along as well to join in, and it was a wonderful opportunity to get everybody together who was involved in the event and celebrate being a finalist, but on the night finding out that we won, which was the cherry on top, and a very ecstatic and buzzy clubhouse.
Is the trophy taking pride of place in the clubhouse, or is it safely stashed away in your office? What have you done with it?
It's in the bar currently. It's in the bar currently. So we've got a little display organised with a trophy and the plaque that we were awarded for hosting that event, and a few bits of other signage, and the photo book that we had from you as well. So we've got a little display in the clubhouse so members can enjoy that. And we're thinking about where it can be long term, and I think we're going to need a new glass display cabinet or something so it can take pride of place somewhere, because we're really delighted with it.
Well, once again, Ben, congratulations to you and all the team at Farnham, and also to all the other nominees in your category and across the other 10 categories. Really strong nominees this year for all the awards, and it was great to see golf in this country being celebrated in such a way at the England Golf Awards. And good luck to you and your team for the future.
Fabulous. Many thanks indeed. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, cheers to Ben and everyone at Farnham for their efforts, and to all the winners at the 2022 England Golf Awards. Let's do it all again in 2023. My thanks also to Jack Butland for taking a break from the Premier League to talk about his golf game, to young Ambassador Sam Barker-Sabido, and to Pat Manning. Go put your feet up, Pat, you deserve a rest. Remember, you can follow England Golf for all that's happening in amateur and club golf by searching for us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook and LinkedIn. The website's also packed with information, so check us out at www.englandgolf.org. It's shaping up to be a busy few weeks with the start of the England Golf Championship season. The first majors of the year are the senior men's and women's amateurs, starting on Monday the 9th of May. So good luck to everyone taking part in an England Golf Championship event this season. And to golfers everywhere, hope you can get out on the course for a few holes soon. Thanks also to Jenna Lee Portas for producing this month's podcast. Be sure to join us next time. Until then, bye for now.